My dear sisters and brothers, it is such a very great privilege to have been asked to come and meet with you and say a few words to you. Good morning. Elaine, thank you very much for your kind words of introduction. It is a great help to have this kind of complexion that I have, because when you are blushing, nobody notices. Could I ask you for one tiny observance? We've lost a great, wonderful person in Miriam Makeba, and she was called Mama Africa. Would you please stand just for a minute? Thank you. And could I be a nuisance and just try to find out, do you all understand English? Because I saw one or two people having to have simultaneous translation, and I just wondered whether we were being fair and letting everyone be able to participate by being able to hear in their own mother tongue, and perhaps that they would be able to speak in their mother tongue. I am particularly sensitive about this because in South Africa for a very long time, they would say you are bilingual. Now I speak Xhosa, Zulu, Tswana, Tutu, Afrikaans, English. And that's not unusual for many of our people. But if you knew 10 other languages but didn't know English and Afrikaans, you would not be regarded as being bilingual. And so I'm being a nuisance, but as an old man, I can take liberties. And speaking about being an old man, they named a school after me in the Netherlands. It was in a small village. That's not the important part of the story. The important part is that this school was celebrating 400 years. And Leah and I went to this village to share in the celebrations. And when we arrived, a little girl came up to me and said, "Were you here when the school started?" I thought you were my friends. I mean, how could you laugh so heartily? Yes, I thought, yes, I obviously am decrepit, but I hadn't thought it was quite so obvious. Oh, by the way, they since renamed the school. Seeming to have thought better about it. I have been thinking about many things that I wanted to say to you. and listening to the quite scintillating presentations, having listened to this, I say, yes, no, I think I should say this. Don't go away with the idea that I have got a prepared speech, but I kept amending it as I heard wonderful things being said by those who spoke before me. I have a book of cartoons. It's by the late Mel Kalman. It's charming line drawings, and he's given it the title, My God. And one of the cartoons shows God receiving sort of almost contradictory prayers. God, we are farmers, we'd like to have rain. God, can we have some sunshine? We're going on a picnic. And God says, sometimes I wish I could say, don't call me, I'll call you. But the one that I wanted to refer to particularly is one that shows God looking very disconsolate. And God says, oh dear, I think I've lost my copy of the divine plan. But looking at the state of the world, we might be forgiven for wondering whether God ever had a plan at all. I mean, you have floods in one place, drought in another. You have all kinds of surpluses here, and the most demeaning poverty and need in another place. And you say, but God, don't you think you could have organized it slightly better? Couldn't you have managed to have had enough water for everybody, everywhere? And you look at God's world, and it is a real mess. You look and you think of all of God's children suffering in Zimbabwe. You look and you see God's children in the DRC. You look and you see God's children suffering in Burma, where their government could stop aid coming to people needing it. You look and you see Tibet, and you think of one of the holiest human beings I've had the privilege of meeting, the Dalai Lama, who has been in exile now 50 years from his beloved Tibet. And yet I've never seen someone with such an incredible serenity and a bubbling sense of joy. And people are aware of his goodness. We were together recently in Seattle, and 60,000 people turned out in the sports stadium to hear him.